your 20s, the most fascinating time of any human being's life, right? It's your time where you're growing, you're learning, you're making mistakes, you're trying to figure it all out, and you're preparing yourself for success for the rest of your life. Growing up, I always had this idea that my 20s were gonna be for having a lot of fun. Going to college, having this college experience, making memories with friends, getting a little drunk on the weekends, having a little fun, right? And getting with some chicks and stuff like that, because that's the cool thing to do when you're young, right? But then I lived my 20s early on in my life. I'm 21 years old now, but when I was 13 years old, I got into all of the things that kids in college tend to do. Go to school, smoke a little weed, get a little drunk on the weekends, you start talking to girls and doing what you do with them. And I lived that life for about 5 or 6 years up until I was 18 years old. And I found myself at 18 years old graduating high school absolutely lost, depressed, with zero accomplishments at all. And I was never pressured to go to college, but I knew if I went to college, I would be around people like I was around back in high school. And knowing myself, I knew that I was gonna spend my 20s having fun. And I realized that your 20s are not for having fun. Your 20s are for getting as fuckable as possible. And that regular route this society sells all of us, that doesn't lead to becoming as fuckable as possible, let me tell you that. See, this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call getting stuck in the matrix. It's when you use the golden time of your life, your 20s, when you have the most energy, the most vitality, and your ability to learn is at an all-time high, but instead you use it to have fun and not to become the fucking man. Okay, so believe it or not, but the thing I'm about to go do for the next hour is exactly what helped me buy my dream car at 21 years old. And the funny thing is, it's actually just doing what you do. You get in fucking amazing shape each and every single day. I'm about to go work out, we're about to go hit some shoulders, and I'm gonna share with you exactly why getting in amazing shape is the most important thing to do when you are young. Because once again, becoming as fuckable as possible is the best investment anybody in their 20s can make. So ever since I was young, I've always had this obsession with studying people, especially successful people that I look up to and I want to become more like. And along the journey of my studying and what I've learned is, it seems like everybody always had this obsession with self-improvement, and specifically the physical self-improvement. Like every entrepreneur, every single successful person that I have, looked up to, that I have studied, they have all achieved a high degree in their physical development. And on the front end of things, on the surface level of things, it may just be like, oh yeah, of course, everyone who's successful is getting in shape because it's good for your mental health and your physical health and so on, which is, 100% right. But if you look at it on a deeper level, you'll start to understand that in life, if you want to win, what does that take? It takes money. And how do you make money? You make money by providing solutions to insecurities, right? You don't buy cologne, you buy confidence. You don't buy a Lamborghini, you buy status. And if you're starting from ground zero, really the only thing you're gonna be able to help other people out with is getting in shape. And so if you get in shape, then you have solved a massive insecurity that a lot of men have. And once again, I wanna remind you that the purpose of life is becoming as fuckable as possible, because at the end of the day, life revolves around reproduction, right? And so the way I was able to buy my dream car at 21 is because I had a solution to a lot of men's insecurities, which was they were out of shape. And a lot of men just don't understand that. They don't understand that if they improve themselves, they literally are creating one of the most valuable assets in the world, which is a solution to insecurities. Then once you start building a physique that is as fuckable as possible, first off, you're gonna build the most valuable asset any man can have. Again, a physique. Nobody can negotiate with a man who's in shape. But second off, you can now use that physique to make a lot of money, just like I did. Now, I'm not saying you gotta, fitness coach people and stuff like that, even though I think it's one of the best ways to make money when you are young. But still, at the end of the day, no matter what, if you want to make a lot of money, you got to do sales. You have to be selling something. So even if you go get a sales job, who is going to sell more? The guy in shape or the guy out of shape? The guy who is in shape, because people just trust and like people more who are more fuckable. And even besides all that, how would you feel walking into any room 200 pounds, lean, jacked, tan, handsome? Because I know me, it feels absolutely fucking amazing. Now it's time to go do what I do best. Look badass.
If everything you do, you put your name to the best of who you are, you're not trying to win the title. You're trying to win the legacy. There's a big difference there. The title is just getting a long cut for the fucking paycheck. Probably the last time you cut that long. Just winning the title in bodybuilding competition. You know, you beg, steal, fucking, murder for it. Do drugs for it. You get the title, yeah, cool. Not good enough, because that title won't get you another title. Because the way you went about it was shortcutted. There's no future in that. When you do it for a legacy, everything you do holds value. There are no shortcuts. You went to every fucking corner, made a left turn or a right turn, and then you went down the next path. Ensured everything in the opportunity was presented. And you got the most out of each situation you could. If you come up short, you know it's not from your lack of effort. You got beat honestly, and that's fine. But you'll never look back on that event and say, fuck. If only I did that. What if I did this? Too fucking late for that.
All right, boys. Shoulder workout was absolutely crushed, and it was high vibration, man. I set up the camera. I'm getting a pump. I'm looking sick. I got the shirt off, man. And I think I had about 4 people come up to me and just either compliment me or say something. You know, people all the time, they're scared to take the shirt off in the gym. Well, some gyms don't allow it, but like scared to set up a camera or something, or just really just do what they want to do. But bro, people see that and it just shows pure confidence. After the gym, I went up to the parking lot and this guy came up to me, and like I quite literally just made $5,000 in the parking lot. He came up to me, he's like, hey, this guy Russ, you guys don't know him, but one of our boy Russ is out here. He's a great guy. Said that you can help me grow, my social media and stuff, and start an online fitness coaching business. And I'm just sick and tired of my bartending job. I told him the price. He's like, fuck yeah, bro, that's so worth it. Let's do it. That's just sick. I walk out to the Corvette with my shirt off, just got a gnarly pump, high vibration. Pretty much let's close the $5,000 deal. And I don't say this to like flex, that's not the point of this video. I say this because the point of your 20s, man, is to become as fuckable as possible. The moment you're as fuckable as possible, you're walking around with that dope physique, you're driving that dope car, you got those dope things, but you're also tan, jacked, and handsome. And all around you got a handsome personality because, you're an actual good guy of high self-improvement. Abundance just flows. Abundance just flows. I wouldn't have been able to get there, man, if I was stuck in college working a fucking dumbass job for the past 3-4 years. I only got here because I understood the secret to life is to become as fuckable as possible in your 20s. And if you're lost, it's because society has led you down that wrong path. But to find yourself, man, literally just level up every single area of life that would make you more fuckable. Now, that does not mean paying as many chicks as possible. No. We are very God-fearing religious men over here. We need one good one. But still, the only way to get one good one is if you become the ultimate male. See, the hard thing about being a man is nobody is gonna give you the building blocks and the blueprint to become personally successful. Your family may give you the blueprint to become successful in their eyes. School may give you the blueprint to become successful in their eyes. Your boss may give you a blueprint to become successful in his eyes. But what about your own personal success? Because living your life as a man doesn't mean living it for other people. It means living it for yourself. That's when you live a truly purposeful life. And so I'm not here to give you some bullshit morning routine or some bullshit habits to implement in your life, because it's never how, it's always who. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what I have learned to become personally successful. And it all comes down to these 2 things. It's gonna be standards and tolerance. Standards and tolerance. These are the 2 key essential ingredients to leveling up in life and achieving whatever it is you want. See, the thing is, you probably already know what you need to do in life, right? Like, the morning routine you need to have, the bullshit you need to cut out, the business model you wanna start, what you wanna do. But the only reason you wouldn't be doing that or struggle to stay consistent with it is because you don't have the correct standards in place, or you're tolerating something in your life, or just tolerating, this current version of yourself, which clearly isn't allowing you to do what you want to do. See, if you want to win your 20s and level up, then your standards is exactly what's going to help you achieve that, right? Your life is a direct byproduct of who you are, and who you are is composed of your standards for yourself. And so if your standards are low, or you don't even have any, meaning, you date whatever girl comes your way, you take any opportunities that your friends bring to you, hey bro, we're going to this party, and you just go either way because you don't have any standards, and you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. See, the first standard every man needs to have is the ability to say no. When you can say no, then more doors open up to bigger opportunities and bigger personal success. See, why a lot of young men end up wasting their 20s is because all these different opportunities come their way. That girl, college, that job that, pays an amount, but, they want different. They don't want to go to college. They want to go pursue that business. That girl's cool. She's a 6 out of 10, but he wants a 9 out of 10. But he wants a 10 out of 10. That job it's offering $100K a year, but he wants to make $500K a year. But because he doesn't have the ability to say no, he can't delay his gratification to get himself to a spot where the door opens up for that larger opportunity. See, it's all about knowing what you want and accepting nothing less. Because when you know what you want, then you know what to actually say no to. And so a very important thing to do as a man is to actually sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what is it that you want, regardless of any limiting beliefs or any lack of self-confidence inside of yourself. There is dreams you have, there's aspirations you have, there's certain things that you want that you need to just say, I am worthy of that. I can achieve that, and I also will deserve that one day if I put in the work. And what you do is you identify those things, you write them down, and now you understand exactly what it is you want, and you start accepting nothing less than what it is you want. And you have the ability to say no to any opportunity that comes your way that isn't up to that standard. That is how you continue to open larger and larger doors in the future. So you probably ask yourself, okay, but how do I actually push myself to do that? That's where tolerance comes in. If there is something in your life that you don't like, it's because you're tolerating it. If you don't like your physique, it's because when you look in the mirror, you're tolerating that physique. When you cheat on your diet, you're tolerating yourself to cheat on your diet. When you are accepting those friends or that disrespect or that girlfriend in your life that you don't like, you're tolerating it. You are the reason you are getting the outcomes and the life experience you are having. But as soon as you stop tolerating that, now you can get what you want from life. When I wanted to make the move from living back home in upstate New York to living down here in Miami, which has always been my dream city to move to ever since I was 18 years old, I had to realize that I was tolerating myself getting comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. Meaning I knew I wanted a different situation. I wanted to be living somewhere else. I wanted to be living a different life. But I was tolerating myself, allowing myself to get comfortable in that uncomfortable situation. Meaning I kept building bridges in that uncomfortable situation. I kept talking to girls there. I kept hanging out with friends there. I kept tolerating just unsuccessful actions on a daily basis that I knew weren't going to help me move the needle ahead towards creating my dream life. And so what I did is I burnt all bridges. I stopped tolerating those bridges that were getting me comfortable in my uncomfortable situation. And so if there's something in your life that you're tolerating that you seem to be struggling to stop tolerating it, the simple question to ask yourself is, why? Ask yourself why twice. Why are you tolerating this? Ask yourself that. Once you come to an answer, ask yourself why once again. The deeper you can figure out why you're tolerating something, the more clarity you'll have on exactly what needs to happen inside of your mind and inside of your life to stop tolerating it. Now, as I mentioned, the way to win your 20s is to just focus on becoming as fuckable as possible, because if you become as fuckable as possible, everyone in this world is going to like you. Women are going to want you, and men are going to respect you, because the man with the highest sexual market value is always the man who just wins and gets his way in life. And so you'll probably hear this online for women. Oh, I want the man who has no Instagram, who nobody can find online. But let me tell you what, brother, that is a complete lie. No woman actually wants that. It's only the woman who just got out of a breakup with a man who probably had some social status and she's all hurt that now she all of a sudden wants the guy who's an absolute loser. Now remember, humans are social creatures. And if you want to win your 20s, which to me means living a badass life, it takes money. And where does money come from? It comes from human beings. And you're gonna struggle to make a good amount of money to live a badass life if you struggle with your social status. So let's run through it. You got the physique built up now, right? That first off is gonna be your highest leverage point for building social status. Every single person, no matter if they're black, blue, brown, black, whatever, white, black, I don't care, male or female, trans in the fucking middle, who knows? Everyone respects a person of physical excellence. And second, everyone respects a man with standards who also doesn't tolerate BS inside of his life. So those two things are gonna cover a good amount of social status. But here's the thing. The world is becoming digital. And if you don't have a digital social status, you're missing out on the biggest opportunity there is. And you're still early to this. If you're watching this right now, you are still very early to the digital social status game. Even though it's been around 10, 15 years, think about where it's gonna be in 50 years from now. It's gonna be a game changer if you start building your digital social status now. Your digital social status is simply just the presence you have on the social medias, especially Instagram, but also YouTube and TikTok. Without a digital social status, you are gonna be subjected to basically your physical reality. And if you're somebody like me who comes from a smallish town with really nothing going on, I needed a digital social status so I can connect with people, in the bigger cities. It was literally the fact that I had a digital social status that got me my first big opportunity, which was going out to Houston, Texas, to go to this big, fitness event. It was called Summer Shredding. And if I never posted online, if I never, built that digital social status, I would have never gotten the opportunity that opened every single door that I've, walked through since then. And I'll tell you exactly how to simply build your digital social status. You don't need to go listen to a guru because he's gonna overcomplicate it for you. If you're in the beginning stages of literally just overcoming that BS in your life, starting to improve yourself, like you're getting in shape, you're becoming as fuckable as possible, you're raising your standards, you're tolerating less in life, then all you should be simply doing is just documenting the process online and showcasing your transformation each and every single day. Because that's literally all I did, right? I stopped tolerating BS in my life 1 year ago. I was flipping burgers for $15.50 an hour. I got cheated on and I just hit rock bottom in life. I was so miserable with my life and I said, you know what? I'm gonna get in shape. I hired a bodybuilding coach. I bought a bodybuilding show ticket because I was like, I knew myself. I knew I needed a deadline. I knew I needed a pressure to actually stick to something for once in my life. And so I hired that coach. I bought that bodybuilding show ticket. I quit that job. I said, no more girls. I literally cut out dating for an entire year of my life. And that's when everything transformed. But I also picked up the phone at the time. I picked up Instagram and I started showing my physique, even when it wasn't completely dialed and I still had, 15 to 17% body fat. And then guess what? Within, around 4 to 5 months, I blew up. I gained over 100,000 followers online because I didn't overcomplicate it. I literally was just a human being who made content online documenting his journey. That's it. And I guarantee you, if you post one time a day for at least the next 6 months, your life is gonna be in a completely different spot than ever before. You're gonna have more opportunities than you ever had before. You're gonna be having more attraction from women than ever before. You're gonna be having more respect from men than ever before. You may think to yourself, oh, there's gonna be haters, there's gonna be people judging me, but people only hate from below. And they're hating on you because you're leveling up and you're rising up. So don't give a fuck about them. But the whole reason I'm telling you to do this is because if you want to win your 20s, then it's all about building assets. And a personal brand is the strongest asset in the world right now. And I guarantee you it will be the strongest asset for the rest of our generation. Okay, something else that goes into this game of winning your 20s and creating a badass life is going to be stacking bread. Making money. Now, I want to give you a quick analogy really quick. You're going to have 2 wallets in your life for the rest of your life. You're going to have your time wallet and you're going to have your money wallet. Now, when you're young, you don't have a big money wallet at all. Maybe you have no money at all, but you don't really have the ability to make a lot of money. So your money wallet is quite empty. But what you do have a lot of is time. And so the most important thing to do is open up that time wallet and take a look at where all of your money in your time wallet is going that is a liability and not an asset. So if you're giving your time to, girls that you don't see yourself marrying, if you're giving your time to friends that, are not benefiting you and you're just friends with the same drug, if you're giving time to video games, if you're giving time to partying, if you're giving time to just doom scrolling and doing nothing with your life, then you're spending all of your time on liabilities and not assets. And so what you must do is cut the expenses, cut it all out. Now, what do you have? You have a lot more time in your time wallet. And now what you can start doing is investing the money inside of your time wallet and putting it inside of assets versus liabilities. Again, your biggest asset is gonna be your physique. Spending a lot more time hitting the gym, recovering, learning about your nutrition, actually taking that time to meal prep, hitting your 10,000 daily steps and so on. Spending your time actually, studying the social media game, posting content, making content, spending time, reading books and increasing your skill set, because it's always what you know and never who you know. So what you know is extremely important. And the only way to learn is to actually sit down for X amount of time each and every single day to study. And even spending your time on things like reflecting are gonna get you much farther ahead in life than most people. A really hard challenge for me to overcome when I was trying to save money in my time wallet was fear of missing out. I knew I had to stop going out on Friday nights and Saturday nights because I was wasting time. I'd wake up late, and as soon as I started cutting that out, I just struggled, Friday nights, Saturday nights, I would feel super lonely, and I would scroll through Snapchat and Instagram, TikTok for hours, and I still did like the same thing. Like, I still messed up my routine, but I just didn't have any fun and have any experiences. And so all I simply did is I actually just spent that time reflecting. I said, you know what? Put away my phone, no TikTok, no TV, no video games, no nothing. I'm just gonna take this time to actually sit here and stare at the wall and analyze why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. Because I didn't like that feeling, and the only way for me to change that feeling was to just change my mental frameworks. And I spent a lot of time from 18, 19, 20 years old just actually sitting there for a couple hours, at night every single week, reflecting and learning myself. And come to discover through that process, I really found peace with myself. I found self-love, and I really found myself. And what that gave me the ability to do was to just focus on my own life, without caring what other people are doing or caring about the opinions of others, and not being distracted by, all these other kids who I don't want to be like in life. And so now that I was spending my time in my time wallet on assets, my money wallet actually started to increase. And now that I had more money in my money wallet, I didn't make the mistake of trying to save it, because, saving up to $1 million is going to take like 40 years. But I actually spent that money on buying my time back. Even though I already was spending all of my time on assets and not liabilities, I needed even more time to get ahead. And so I spent my money on time. So you may ask yourself, well, Ryan, what did you spend your money on to save yourself time as an 18, 19, 20-year-old? Well, I spent my money on things that most 18, 19, 20-year-olds will never get to experience until maybe later in life. First thing I spent my money on was that bodybuilding coach and that show ticket. And then throughout that bodybuilding prep, I also spent my money on buying a camera, which, helped out my social media even more. And then through that, I was able to start my first online coaching business, which started to make me a couple $1,000s each and every single month. And so once again, I took that money and I actually went to Thailand for 2 months. I was able to experience Thailand for 2 months. And even though it was like somewhat of a vacation, it did something for me on a deep level. It gave me an experience that not many 20-year-olds can actually go and experience. And that set me and my self-identity so much farther ahead of most kids my age. And now, why is that important? Because of the simple rule of life: be, do, and have. See, the only reason people struggle to get ahead is because their self-identity doesn't match the actions they want to take. If you understand Atomic Habits, you understand that it's first self-identity, then actions. It's not actions, then self-identity. Let me break that down even deeper if you don't fully understand. You need to change your self-identity first in order for you to take the correct actions to obtain the outcome. Okay, it's never take the actions, have that achieve the outcome, and then have that ingrain it in your self-identity. And I hear this excuse all the time, once I get in shape, then I'll post online. But if you want to post online and be a social media creator and build a personal brand, you need to see yourself as that person today. And then you can take the correct actions to actually do it. And you're also probably never going to get in shape to the point where you would actually blow up online if you don't start identifying yourself as that person today. It's like you just need to be the person first, then do the actions, and then you will have the outcome. It's not the other way around. So to summarize it up, spend your time and spend your money on everything that will make you more fuckable. One of the most important aspects of your 20s is finding a brotherhood. We're on the group call right now with everybody. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
This is Wednesday night group call with the mentorship clients. We're discussing a lot of good stuff, but Brotherhood's so important. If you don't get around like-minded men who push each other because iron sharpens iron, then you're going to be a lone wolf. And lone wolves don't last long in today's society. You need brothers who are going to uplift you and hold you accountable and pretty much shit like that. We're going to cut that part out. But connecting batteries, like connecting with like-minded brothers is like connecting batteries together. The stronger the charge is, and so the faster you can make shit happen in life. You need to find a brotherhood in your 20s. You can't be the lone wolf. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the last part of becoming as fuckable as possible is going to be lifestyle design. See, you have the capability, whether you believe it or not, to design the exact life that you want to live. Like, whatever it is you want, you can obtain from life. And you can't allow your current identity to hold you back from identifying the dream life you actually want to live. What I mean by that is, like, you know, the current identity, you may be living at home, you may not be making a lot of money, maybe you're not in amazing shape, whatever it may be, right? You know you want to become badass, right? You want to have a badass physique, live a badass life, make a badass amount of money, and right now you can't really fathom that, and also you can't really like write these things down as goals because it's just like, nah, there's no way I can achieve that. But I'm telling you right now, as a kid who has completely redefined himself in just a couple of years by specifying exactly the life I wanted to live, it's 100% in your capabilities to create a badass life, to create whatever life you want to live and become whatever character you want to become. There's two things you need: a notebook and a pen for this. See, this step is most important, and that's why I left it at the very end for you guys who truly are actually hungry to make some shit out of your life. So when it comes to lifestyle design, you need to specify the life you want to live, because if not, then you will be a drifter. Like a drifter is basically like a boat in the ocean without a rudder, without steering. It's just going wherever the current takes it. But if you want to end up in a specific location, then you need to know where to go. You need to know the coordinates of that place. So what you first do, you take a journal or take a piece of paper right now with a pen, and I want you to identify each area of your life and what you want it to look like in 1 year from now. Where do you want to live? How much money do you want to make? How do you want your physique to look? What relationships do you want to have? Identify every single area of life and where you want it to be at. And one other thing I want to add is then think another year ahead. Think about what that would look like. Now I want you to write down what's next after your 1 year goals now. And I want you to accomplish that in 1 year, because your goals need to be big. You need to literally, and I know this from experience, you need to basically set goals that are unachievable. Because in my opinion, we tend to fall short of goals most of the time. And so whatever your 2 year goals are, you should set them for 1 year. And if you can't think that far ahead, then whatever your 1 year goals are, set them for 6 months. And if you can't even think that far ahead, then whatever your 6 month goals are, set them for 3 months. Because the current version of yourself is only going to set goals that you believe you're capable of achieving. But if you want to level up and level up fast, then you need to set goals that your current identity, the current version of yourself, doesn't think is fathomable. And the true part of this that makes you more fuckable is the confidence that this gives you. When you write down your goals, it's gonna create urgency, and that urgency is gonna drive you to take the actions you need to take, to wake up out of bed every single morning and jump out with urgency, with motivation, to get it done. And then once you show yourself you can get it done, that confidence you're gonna carry yourself with, but also the life you're gonna be living will be written all over your aura, the energy you carry yourself with, and you're gonna be undeniable. And with that deep ingrained self-confidence, you can pretty much achieve anything in life, honestly. Now, once you have written down your goals in a spot, here's a practice I want you to do. Ask yourself why twice. Your goals mean nothing if you just write down what they are. If you want to make 10 grand a month, if you want to drive a Lamborghini Urus, if you want to live in Miami, whatever it may be, doesn't mean anything if you don't know why. And you're never going to have the motivation to do what it takes to achieve that if you don't know why. Okay, so it's coming to the end of the night, and it's coming to the end of the video, and there's one last thing I want to leave you with, and this story is the story that changed the trajectory of my 20s. So if you're still watching, listen to this. When I was 18 years old, August 11th, 2021, that's actually the tattoo I have right here, my sister passed away. And she passed away in a car crash. And I won't go into the whole backstory, but she was going down a really bad path in life, and the car crash was her own fault. And I was also going down a similar bad path as her. I come from a family of drug addictions unsuccessfulness. A lot of BS is the best way to put it. And when that happened, I was completely just lost. Didn't know what to do. And even before that happened, I was lost. But that got me so lost that I think the only outcome was to find myself. But I was that lost that I remember I laid in bed for an entire week contemplating my death. And I was contemplating my death because I wanted to understand what maybe she went through. And come to find out, contemplating your death as a man is the most mature and life-changing thing you can ever do. Because when I was contemplating my death, and this is exactly how I thought about it, you know, if I got in a car crash and I was taking my last breath, how would I feel in that moment? And I came to discover that the way I was living my life, I would have been begging God for one more day. Just one more day. Why? Because there was so much I wanted to accomplish. I had all these dreams, all these ambitions, all of these ideas, yet, what did I do? I took no action. I made no change. So if I was to pass away in that current moment, I would have been regretful. I would have been depressed. I would have been begging God for one more day. And that's not how I want to feel when I pass away. I want to feel, even if I don't achieve my goals, I still want to feel like, you know what? I was on the path towards achieving my goals. And so that second I had left of life, if I got, you know, a fatal car crash, that second I had left, where maybe everything's flashing before my eyes, I feel a feeling of accomplishment, a feeling of peace, because I knew I was actually using my one life I have towards my purpose. You know, I think God gives us these ideas, these inspirations, these dreams, these goals, because it's meant for us. It's meant for our life. And if we don't go after them, and the only reason we ever don't go after them is because we're drifters, we're addicts, we have vices, we limit ourselves, which to me is all low vibrational things, which you may consider, you know, the devil trying to, you know, hold you down in life. I believe that all of those things are gifts from God that we need to go after, so that when we do pass away, which could be any moment, we can say to ourselves, you know what? I was on the path. I was doing everything I could. And so ask yourself, what trajectory are you currently on? If you were to get hit in an hour from now, and you had 1 second left of life, how would you feel? Would you feel complete, whole, peaceful because you've been in alignment with the quote-unquote best you? Or would you be begging God for just one more day to finally align yourself? Whatever the answer is the answer. And the truth may hurt, but the truth is what will set you free. When you lay down in bed at night and you lay your head in your pillow, there should be a sense of accomplishment. Something I write to myself in my journal every single morning is, thank you, God, for today. I'm so blessed and grateful to be alive. Because I don't take a single day for granted. I don't. Because I know it could be my last. And so by the end of each night, I want to go to bed feeling accomplished and feeling I did everything I could to align myself and move the needle ahead towards the best me. Even if I didn't achieve my goals, even if it was a quote-unquote bad day, I still put in the work and I still push through. That's what's most important. So in those times where you don't have the motivation, you don't feel like doing it, you're scared, you got that lack of courage, but you know you need to take that courageous act, remind yourself, today could be your last. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, all that I ask is, if you aren't subscribed yet, drop this channel a subscribe. And if you liked the video, make sure you drop it a like. I'll see you guys in the next.